This is Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium.
Today's guest is Niecie. She is a recording artist, singer, and songwriter. It is a pleasure to have you on, Niecie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. You know, you and I, we were passing ships in the night at NAMM. We didn't get to totally connect, and we had, so many opportunities. But scheduling and everything, I'm just glad I'm having the chance to chat with you now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So great. So I'm reviewing your bio and I'm just like blown away. Your whole career has just been so exciting, and it's just been filled with what I call so many situations that were like meant to be.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, really nice. And sometimes you see that in people's lives where they start out going in one direction and it's just one conversation or one introduction, and then they're literally taken into another direction, another path. Wow. So tell me, how did you start into the world of music?
Well, I mean, I could go way back. When I started musical theater at 8 years old, I was in a lot of musical theater, worked my way up, kept doing that for quite a long time. I started doing bands, of course, like in high school, what would be called classic rock today. It was current rock then, and just kept going at it. And then I was out in Boston and I took some auxiliary classes at Berkeley. And that's when I established myself as a recording artist. That was in the early 90s. So from there, it just kept snowballing. And here we are today.
Wow, it's so interesting. So when you go back to when you're a child, like going back to like 8, was your family musical in any way, or where did you find the encouragement to go?
Yeah, my mom was very musical. She played the keys. So we had, the big organ in the house with all the flip buttons and stuff. My dad just loved jazz. He turned me on to old school jazz and like Artie Shaw and all that from back in the day. He played air saxophone at weddings and stuff like that. He'd take his hanky out and shape it into a saxophone and do his thing. But anyway, yeah, I grew up with a lot of music. And then I had a brother that was a lot older. He was in Vietnam, rest his soul. So I got turned on to all that Woodstock stuff when I was young. So like when little girls my age were listening to the Partridge Family and all that, I was Jefferson Starship, I was all of that, listening to all the Woodstock, Uriah Heep, Bad Company. So, and that's where I get a lot of my rock roots, starting young. So, yeah.
Wow, that is so fun. That is really a lot of fun. It's so great to be in an atmosphere where it's encouraged. Not everyone has that. So how did you feel about deciding to become a singer, though? Did you feel drawn to trying any instruments, or you just clearly knew you were going to just be singing?
I picked up a lot of instruments. If I have ADD or whatever the case may be, I'm really, I played by ear. I never took lessons. So I'd pick them up and learn them, and I'd get bored, and that started like when I was 14. I played guitar, I picked up the bass like in my 30s. I'm in mid 60s right now. Keys, I picked up the saxophone for a minute in college. I don't know. I just felt more driven to be, a front person. Although, you can be a front person, play guitar and all that stuff, but I'm really into lyrics. I used to write a lot. I used to write, from when I was young, I wrote a lot. I won awards for my poetry when I was, in elementary school. And I wrote a book that got published, Trip into Tomorrowland. My mom was also artist, drawing, so I did the writing part. She did the illustration, and it got picked up by Walt Disney. And I was like 10 years old. I won the Young Author Concert. I have poems, obies. So I'm really into lyrics. So, and that kind of really drew me into singing and writing my own music. So yeah, I really felt drawn into it. But with the little bit that I've messed around with instruments, it's really helped me work with all the cats, whether in the studio or on stage, because I do have music theory knowledge. So where a lot of singers don't, from what they tell me. So it's a bonus. I'm sitting here next to me. I've got a bass, a guitar, and all that. It's like every once in a while I'll pick them up, and goof around. But at my age, I'd be competing with people that have been playing for 40 years. I think I want to add to my act where I do end up playing some, a couple songs on the guitar, add to the act and, keys. I ended up acquiring, I don't know if you knew Johnny Neal from the Allman Brothers. He was my producer for, I don't know, since like 2012. And it was actually on my debut CD back in 2002, but he recently passed. I don't know if you know that, but I acquired his Nord keyboards. So I'm going to be brushing up on those. I think that'd be cool to add to my act, So, yeah.
Absolutely. So you spoke earlier about going to take some courses at Berkeley. What was that experience like for you?
Well, what it was, they were like auxiliary classes from graduates that were out there already doing it, and they were like boot camps. It was aggressive. Woo. Oh my Lord. But they cut the mustard where they actually took what you would normally learn at Berkeley and cut out all the crap. Like they said, you don't need to learn circles of fifth. That's one thing that got me away from playing bass. When I first started taking lessons, I played with somebody that couldn't even, or was learning, that played by ear, which is cool, but he couldn't tell me the notes. I mean, I gotta know, I need to know the notes even though I'm playing by ear. So then I moved on and found someone else, and that first lesson he was trying to teach me the circle of fifths. That is so advanced, it's like I just gave up. So it was cool. A lot of knowledge. A lot of knowledge I gained out there. I go back every once in a while. I haven't for a long time, but I used to skip a couple years and go back as a graduate of the course and retread. Never can, not repeat too much, in my opinion.
So great though. Yeah. I guess my question to you, because I'm so intrigued with you. When did you feel like you really found your voice? Because I've spoken to a lot of singers and they say over time they found where they actually felt that that was their true voice. It's kind of interesting where some people feel that their voice changes, and it's not like growing up changes, but that the style of music has changed their voice, or by being in certain bands where certain music has actually changed their voice. Did you have any experiences like that?
Yeah, actually, when I was studying in Boston, I lived right off of Mass Ave, and like there's all these vocal studios, and I turn the corner and there's Berkeley, and so I studied, and that's when I started discovering the style that I was suited for, which was the blues, and also too, I kind of got a late start getting in the music business. I didn't jump into it until like my late 30s. So blues kind of was natural. There was no age thing going on. If you want, to come out and do pop when you're, just starting out in your 30s or 40s. I mean, now, back then, though, it was different. Now it's, like the Where's the Beef lady. She started her acting career when she's 80. So, I mean, who am I to judge? But, whenever I'm doing blues, a lot of people are like, girl, I mean, you're a rocker. I'm like, yeah, I am. So that's why I do blues rock. I put out a couple CDs that kind of were on the contemporary side of blues. They did well, but this next one, I'm working on one right now. It's gonna rock. Definitely rock.
Wow. So tell me
Yeah.
about how you got involved. Like, what was your first CD, or how did that experience come about for you?
Wow. Okay, that's a story right there. I went to a jam in Detroit, in the hood, rough neighborhood. Johnny B. Gaden, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's played with Albert Collins and a whole bunch of, he's a bass player. And he was part of the jam. He and I were friends. So I'd go up there. And there was always the same crowd, a couple new people here and there, but the one night I went. And there's all kinds of new cats. And I'm like, well, cool, right? So I ended up getting on stage with some of them. And when we got off, the drummer, who is Niecie Jackson, said, you know what? I can do something with you. He goes, you need to come to Nashville. And I'm like, how many times we all heard that stuff? I can do things. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? I took a leap and I came down and I checked it out, and he was for real. So that's when I started my first release. I started working on it in 2000, and it turns out he was hooked up. I went into my first session and I just like, oh my God, right? There, Johnny Neal from the Allman Brothers was on the keys. Brian, I can't remember his last name, from Eddie Money. There, someone from Dave Mason. It was just, whoa. So it's like one thing my dad taught me was, shh, be quiet, learn. That was, that was my first real session. I made demos in Detroit and stuff like that, but this was real. So I sat and I soaked up stuff like a sponge. And I learned from the best right off the bat. So blessed. I can't even say anything. All coming from that ghetto jam in Detroit. So that's how it all came to be.
That's amazing. So that being your first CD, what kind of, as like feeling new to the music scene in that regard, how much participation could you have had with that CD? Did you feel that they were guiding you along, or did you feel like you actually could say that you liked certain things better than others? Because usually the first recording is always tough, where you either feel like you're guiding them or they're guiding you.
I did song selection. At that time, I wasn't writing like I am now. Like now, on my CDs, I might have one or two recordings on there from other songwriters, but they're mainly me. But then I wasn't writing like I am now, so I only had like a couple of my originals, and then I got just tons of. He went out and asked people to pitch me, so they'd come in, and that's how I came up with my song selection. And then I talked a little bit about on groove, on how I wanted some of them, but musically, since I wasn't adept of 20, 30 years of an instrument, I knew when to shut up, right? So I let them do that whole musical end of it. But I had a great part in it, good part in it. The one thing that I was shy on, that I didn't realize the depth of the work involved, is the marketing and the radio. Boy, I know now, right? And I learned by the second one, but if I didn't have anyone in that area school me, or any mentor at that time. So actually, I took a lot of the tunes off of there that could be played on top 40, and some of my newer stuff, and I did a top 40 release, and it went over great. I hit the charts all over the place. And that was, God, 10 years later I did that. So I revived it. You know what I mean? And the songs got heard where maybe they didn't before, because I didn't have the push behind it, as far as all the busy work of a release.
Yes, well, you make a good point, though, but also the timeline. When you go back to when your first CD was coming out, if it was 20 or 25 years ago, marketing was a lot different than it is now. In a strange way, people think social media is tough. In other ways, it's so easy. You just sing your song or you play your instrument and it's like viral. If you're lucky, it's viral. And so when you go back 20 or 25 years ago, the internet wasn't anywhere near where it is now.
Right.
So you were really relying on word of mouth, paid advertising, which was always difficult to get. And it was also mostly people saying they saw you or they heard you or other people were playing your stuff.
Right.
But it was really like word of mouth back then.
And I still do this today in circumstances where I can't have a whole band go with me on radio promotion tours, but I take all my tracks without my vocals in it. Well, back then I'd go and I'd grab like the janitor and then this and that, so there'd be dudes in the background, sound like there's more than me. And then I would perform the songs to the tracks. I don't feel the need to do all that silly stuff anymore.
That's
But
so
hey,
funny.
back then you did what, like you said, things were different. I mean, now it's like, gosh, I'm reaching people all over the world that I don't even know. I mean, the internet is just fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's really amazing. So, from that first CD, how did you get on to going to the next one? You've had more than one CD put out. So, what is the kind of path of those CDs?
Well, there's a big story there. About 5 days after my release, I had been in Atlanta for a show and do a radio interview. And on the way back, I was in an accident with a semi truck. And I was pronounced dead on the scene. God willing, he knocked on. Hey, you ain't coming. You're not ready yet. You're going, get back. Right. So, and I was pretty racked up for 6 years. I was in a wheelchair the whole beeswax. So if you look at my debut CD and my sophomore CD, there's 9 years difference. So once I got better, I got totally wiped out financially, of course, medical bills, not being able to work, that whole beeswax. So once I got better, it took me a few years to get the funds up and to get back into the mix again. And I reconnected with Niecie again. So that's the story behind that one. So there's people are like, man, why'd you wait so long? Well, let me tell you my story. So yeah, yeah.
Wow. So, if we could just touch on that experience, as difficult as it was, did you feel that going through all of that changed how you made your comeback? Did you feel that you saw singing or sending out a message differently than you did with your first album?
Absolutely. Now, when I released the sophomore one, I was debating, do I want to throw the comeback story out there? Because I'm one of these, it's like, I don't like people seeing me, seeing me when I'm down. And I was pretty wrecked. And so when I came back on the scene, I actually was a victim of a lot of meanness. There were stories that, I killed somebody. I was in the jail. I tried to commit suicide. I was in a loony bin. All kinds of stuff that I had to beat. And at that time, Facebook was up in 2011. It had been out for like 3 or 4 years. So I decided not to share my story because I wanted my music to stand on its own. I didn't want people, diving in because the violins, feeling sorry or whatever the case may be. So I didn't share that story. Actually, I didn't start sharing that story up until like maybe 5 years ago. And that was the accident was in 2002. So I kept it to myself. I don't mind talking about it now, but yeah, it was kind of it was kind of weird, all the different things that people put in their mind because I disappeared.
Yes, I'm sorry that happened to you, but sometimes, very often, the public, especially when you are considered a public figure, sometimes people are unhappy when they have like an open-ended sentence. They have to fill it with something. People
Right.
they don't like question marks hanging in the air. They want to fill it. They want to fill it with anything, some kind of closure. People need closure, and it's not even their story. I find that very unfortunate, but I'm glad. I mean, it sounds like a miracle, what you went through in your experience.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the physical part of that gave you a different strength in like your music or your voice?
Oh yeah. I mean, and not to, a lot of people may not believe this or whatever the case, but like I said, I was pronounced dead on the scene, but I did cross over. I have a third eye like you wouldn't believe now, right? And it gave me a lot more depth to my songwriting. That's when I really started songwriting, choosing tunes that reflected my experience, whether I'm the only one that knew it subliminally or not. But yeah, definitely. And as I was going through it, it's like, you know, before I put out the second CD, I didn't know if I was going to go back into it. So much time had gone by. But I'll tell you what, a piece of my heart just was just not beating with not doing music. I have to do something with music. You know what I mean?
That I understand. When you said that, it just reminded me of Janis Joplin with "The Piece of My Heart." Like, it's literally like screaming out of you when you have
Right.
something that is, to me, like a gift that you're born with. And it's
Yeah.
very hard to
Yeah.
silence those gifts. It's really amazing. So how many of these CDs or albums that you've put out over time?
This will be my eighth.
So
And I,
impressive. You just say that like it's my eighth. Like it's like, okay, but that's very impressive. I'm like,
thank,
wow.
thank you. Thank you. Well, and I don't have it like that where, you're supposed to put one out a year, once a one out every 18 months. I got 3 years or whatever in between each. I'm cool with that because sometimes it blows up further down the road than when you release it. And I'd love to be able to do it all the time, one a year, but I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it. You
Listen,
know.
8 is very impressive. There's many people that are just satisfied with having one or two. But,
Yeah.
I believe it's also the circles that you're in that have allowed you to continue to make the music that you make.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you this, down here in Nashville, I'm running with top dogs, A-listers, and they are so gracious, and they are so gracious on the money. You know what I mean? It's like they want us to succeed, and they want to wrap their arms around us, and they don't want to kill us financially. You know what I mean? So they're very gracious. I mean, it's incredible what these guys are willing to do. And a lot of them I've been working with now since my debut CD. So we're like this. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes they've come in and done stuff for free. So
That's amazing. So I wanted to be able to start discussing some of your songs. You have a song called Strange Way. Tell us about that because we're going to be able to play that during the interview.
okay. I love that song. I didn't write that song. Chris Anderson did, if you're familiar with him. He used to be with the Outlaws and Allman Brothers, Dickie Betts, and all that. He just now joined Marshall Tucker Band as of a few weeks ago. And I just love that song. There was something, I don't know, when I get on stage and I do that song, I like drift. It's really weird. I just really get into it in a way that I don't with any of some of my other songs. And it's a rocker. I love it. And he's a great songwriter, and he's playing on it. That one is a Chris Anderson tune. Yep.
That's great. Well, we're going to play it now.
pretend when you won't even try or take the time to listen when I tell you how I feel inside. And you won't even hold me like you used to do. I'm glad my heart finally told me the truth about you. If this is love, you got a strange way of showing it. Ah, if this is love, you got a strange way of showing it. I caught you crossing the line. I'm really leaving this time. And now I'm wondering why it took so long for me to say goodbye. Showing it, baby. If this is love, you got a strange way of showing it. Ah, if this is love, you got a strange way of showing it. If this is love, you got a strange way of showing it.
Cool. Very good. Wow. Wow. You have such an exciting life. I know that you are very busy. In your bio, it says that you've received a lot of awards and honors. One of them is being recognized in women in the music industry. Tell me about how you've been recognized in the music industry, as one of the leading women.
I came back on the scene with the sophomore release. I started up, or didn't start up, but I was part of the initial growth of National Women in Blues. And it's grown like huge. It's just, it's so much support and so much love, and we do a showcase every year in Memphis during the International Blues Challenge. Some of the awards I've won, they have the male and the female category. So, that's where that came in. I've been surrounded by such strong women, and we all just support each other, big time. And that's just so refreshing because that's not usually the case sometimes, right? But yeah, that's how I kind of started that whole movement.
So, in speaking of that, have you been involved in any competitions for women or judges for women or in some sort of mentorship programs for women?
I was mentoring with the National Women in Blues, because there's newbies that come up all the time, and get involved. So there's that. Right now, I'm a Grammy mentor from Grammy U, and I happen to have a young lady that I'm mentoring. That's kind of cool. She's at Belmont going to school. That's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
So, what is Grammy U like? How do the students get involved with that, or what is the selection process?
I'm not sure how they get involved. I know that I got an application to be a mentor because I've been a voting member since, I don't know, actually my debut CD, or no, not my debut, my sophomore CD. I'm not sure how they get in though. But I know I had to, fill out a bunch of stuff and they had to look at my background and, see if I had anything to offer the next generation. So, and then I got my welcome letter. Yeah, so this is my first year doing it.
Wow, must be so exciting, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. So I wanted to go on to your next song. The next song that we were going to discuss is called Wanted Woman.
I got a bounty on my head. Oh Lord, I'm scared to death. Don't know how, don't know when they can catch me if they can. 'Cause I'm a wanted woman. I'm a wanted woman. I'll be on the run till that judgment day comes. I'm a wanted woman. I'll be hiding in the dark, breaking every young man's heart. I'll be sneaking from behind. I'll be creeping through your mind. I'm a wanted woman. Wanted woman. I'm a wanted woman. Wanted woman. I'll be on the road till that judgment day comes. I'm a wanted woman. I got the power to do what I please, begging for mercy down on your knees. Before you know it, you'll be under my spell. I'll put you through my living hell. Wanted woman. I'm a wanted woman. Wanted woman. I'm a wanted woman. Wanted woman. Wanted woman. Wanted woman. I'm a wanted woman. Wanted woman. Wanted woman. Wanted woman. Wanted woman.
Tell me more about that song.
That's a song I wrote with Johnny Neal, and then also another co-writer who I'm also working with. Him and Johnny had been best friends from way back to Delaware days before they all came to Nashville. So I wrote that song when I was being pulled in a bazillion directions, and I had some ghosts from the past trying to get at me, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Exes, whatever. And then I felt like I was a wanted woman. You know, if you listen to the words, nobody could catch me. You know, with some of the words are, I'll be on the run until my doomsday comes. I'm a wanted woman. You can't catch me. You can come and get me. But yeah, and actually that's the title track of that CD. I think that was my fourth or fifth CD. And actually it was in the Grammy nominations. That was back before the Grammys sliced and diced the blues category. There used to be like 10 categories, you know, songwriter, this and that. Now it's traditional blues, contemporary blues. That's it, you know. So, so that's cool. That CD put me on the map. And I really dig the groove. It's real mysterious. I really enjoy performing that one too.
Wow, I love that, especially since you can kind of go back to a period of your life where you actually felt like you were living out the lyrics, which is always kind of fun.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. So you probably, other than these wonderful gentlemen that you've played in these bands with, so who are some of the other dynamic women in music that you've been able to either perform with or collaborate with?
Well, Sean Murphy, if you're familiar, yeah, you know Sean.
Yes.
Sean.
She's wonderful. She does a
Yeah,
lot of work with my cousin Tommy Del Rossi.
yeah. God, who else? You know, there's ladies here, Marky Blue. I don't know if you're familiar with her. And then another friend, Anna Marie. She does more country. So that's been an experience for me. I'm in Nashville, and I got to be careful because, you know, it says Country Town USA, but I'm from Detroit. They didn't even have a country station up until recently. Okay?
That's so funny. I know, but Nashville really has changed because I have a lot of friends that are in rock and they're all in Nashville. So I think over the
Right.
last like 15, 20 years, Nashville is kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
evolving. Yeah.
Yeah. Another person that I work a lot with, and she's like my soul sister, is Pam Taylor. I don't know if you saw her during the NAM or whatever. She was all over the place. I think she went to one of the gigs you went to. I'm not sure, but you know, I work a lot with her. She does a lot of my videos, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many. I can't even. Right, you catch me off guard. I can't even think right now.
Yeah, no,
But
it's great. It's a lot of fun, actually. And I also think it's probably a fair statement that when you do collaborate with other people, especially women, you realize how many different styles people have.
yeah.
You have your way of working, and other people may have their way of working. And then you find out that, there's some things you could pick up along the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wanted to mention another song called Cross the Line. What is that song about?
Well, that's actually a single that I recently released that's going to be on my upcoming CD. We let it go right before Johnny died. And, you know, we're going to keep going and, you know, do a waterfall release and then but he passed. So I needed time because that kind of, you know, his passing pretty much devastated me. I mean, he was my producer for 14 years when he passed. So we're gonna get it give it its just due on the new release. But boundaries. It's about boundaries. You know, you got to set boundaries and limitations. And the older I get, boy, is that shrinking it down. I just don't have time for a lot more. You know what I mean? Like I used to tolerate. It's just don't cross the line. You know, if you know what your boundaries are, don't push it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what that one's a rocker too. So. Yep.
Wow. So tell me what's going to be happening in the next year for you. Like, give me a little bird's eye view on your near future. What are the plans?
Well, we're in the midst of writing the last couple of tunes for the CD. In the next 3 weeks. I'm going to be getting in the studio and starting to lay them. And I'm trying to figure out, I almost want to go with a label, but I don't know. So, that's one thing I'm going to be doing is, in this near future is checking out, see if there's any advantage, to it than being an independent. And then I'm going to be doing some booking behind the CD. I kind of took a little time off from doing festivals and stuff. I had a hip replacement, so and it took a while. And they're like, 2 months, you'll be up on your feet. Are you kidding me? Okay, buddy. Surgeons, they got to sell themselves, but so I needed to take some time off, and I'm kind of glad I did. I gave myself, I'm refocused on the direction of my music, because this one's going to be a crossover. I'm really looking at, there's some blues rock on it, but I'm really pushing for that rock scene. In the blues, I mean, I know everybody. I need some more stimulation. I mean, I love everybody, don't get me wrong, but I want some other avenues, and then there's other opportunities, I could open up for a rock band, whatever, as I'm digging my heels in, but that's pretty much it.
Wow.
It's enough.
It is. I know. It sounds very exciting. So just plug your social media. Let people know how they can find you and how they can get your music.
Okay. Let's see. On Facebook, Niecie Rock and Blues is my page, and then my wall is Niecie Blues. Instagram is Niecie Rock and Blues. YouTube is Niecie Rocks It. Everyone's telling me you gotta have them all the same. You send them a link, they click. What's the difference? Right? Straight up Niecie on TikTok. My website is www.niecie.net, and you can find my music everywhere. All you gotta do is Google, and it all comes up. Whatever your preferred method of listening to music is, I'm there.
That is so great. Wow. All right. Well, thank you again. It has been a pleasure to talk to you. You're one of the greatest women leading the face of music right now, and a great representation for blues and for rock. It has been a pleasure to have you on. And we're going
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to roll out with your song, Cross the Line.
I live my life the way I do. I have my rules steadfast and true. Bite my tongue, only for so long. Here today, gone tomorrow. No time for promises borrowed. The game you're running just ran out. Don't play me with your foolish heart. When dark clouds come around and hard rain hits the ground, and every day my sun will shine. Don't think about crossing the line. Don't cross the line. Living life the way you do, rules don't mean a thing to you. You know you done me wrong. Stepping out was your thing. Trying to play me once again. Misery's where you belong. Don't play me with your foolish heart. When dark clouds come around and hard rain hits the ground, every day my sun will shine. Don't think about shine. Don't think about crossing the line. Don't cross the line. I live my life the way I do. I have my rules steadfast and true. Bite my tongue only for so long. Here today, gone tomorrow. No time for promises borrowed. The game you're running just ran out. Don't play me with your foolish heart. When dark clouds come around and hard rain hits the ground, and every day my sun will shine. Don't think about crossing the line. Don't cross the line. Living life the way you do, rules don't mean a thing to you. You know you done me wrong. Stepping out was your thing. Try to play me once again. Misery's where you belong. Don't play me with your foolish heart. When dark clouds come around and hard rain hits the ground, every day my sun will shine. Don't think about crossing the line. Don't cross the line. Dark clouds come around and hard rain hits the ground. Every day my sun will shine. Don't think about crossing the line. When dark clouds come around and hard rain hits the ground, 'cause every day my sun will shine. Don't think about crossing the line. Don't cross the line. Hey, 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 don't cross the line. Every day the sun will shine. Don't think about crossing the line. Don't cross the line.
You have been listening to Bringing the Darkness to the Light with Catherine Nadal, professional psychic medium, Dream Central Station, LLC. My audio editor is Al Hemberger at the Loft Recording Studios in Bronxville, New York. This is WNEW 102.7 FM radio.